It's worked. Great. Fantastic. Okay. At least it looks to have worked. Yeah, good. Okay, this track's called Want You With Me, instrumental mix by Akira Sora. Anyway, starting over. Welcome to Humanity. Welcome to Humanity Prelude, which is I've just explained all of this. I had some technical hiccups. Humanity is a series of books that I've wanted to write for a long time about humanity and technological advancement. A lot of the themes are about like engineering and development and how we progress as a species, ultimately towards space travel and space colonization. It's a sci-fi series. Prelude is not that. Prelude is the start of the story. It's the evolution of the universe and life on Earth. It's something I've wanted to write for a while. That's basically the recap. That's what we missed during the technical hiccup. So we're going to be talking about Humanity Prelude and my ideas for this today. Starting with, I can probably tab over here, no problem. Oh, I have no notes. I have absolutely no notes. Okay. So what we need to do is figure out what that story looks like. I want to be writing this in the month of November. No, not necessarily condoning or what's the word? Not necessarily in participation with the whole NaNoWriMo thing. I understand that organization is subject to a bunch of controversies surrounding that organization right now. One of the key ones being a partnership they've got with another company. Not interested in that drama, but I do want to write a novel. I'm going to use November to do it. Hopefully write 50,000 words in November. You know, the gist of NaNoWriMo basically, but different. Probably not submitting it to it at the end, because I know they've also they haven't absolutely condemned the use of AI in writing. And I've seen their justification for it, right? But also, you gotta have some reservations about submitting to them when they're condoning the use of AI. Because all AI is technically is it's programmatic plagiarism. At the end of the day, that's basically what it is. It has a bank of images, or in this case, text, and it predicts the next word in a sentence based on all the text it's got in its bank. Now, some of that won't be plagiarism because it'll be stuff that was written 70 years ago. You know, it's out of copyright. But anything that's got a more modern vernacular is going to be plagiarized, essentially. So not submitting to them, just writing 50,000 words, and I won't be doing writing streams, I don't think, because I don't think I can talk and write at the same time. So let's just jump over to planning. I do need to tab over to that screen there for you. It's going to be this one. This is my planning document. Humanity Prelude. I can no longer see OBS on my screen. And also they're sponsored by an AI writing thingy. Right, I did not know that the thing they're sponsored by was AI. People asked what they think about AI writing, and they were like, well, lots of people need spell check. That's AI. And we were like, that is not answering the question. Yeah, no, I saw fragments of their statement about it as well. Also, hey, Fruity. And they were saying, oh, AI could be a really great tool for people with additional needs when it comes to writing, like disabled, but they still want to write. They've sponsored straight up scams in the recent past. Yes, that's the one I'd heard most about. And they haven't... And because the scam partner is such a big partner, they've not distanced themselves from them. So that's a point of concern. But I wanted to do NaNoWriMo. I've wanted to do it for years. I've attempted it in the past, like probably a decade ago. Chat isn't showing up on the stream right now, is it? Can I fix that? Why is chat not showing up on the stream? One sec. The reason is... Oh, genuinely, why? You're going to see my mouse moving around ridiculously as it's trying to figure out what should be where. Oh no, it should be. Bizarre. A lot of people don't even know there's an actual organization behind Nano, and they just do it because it's cool and fun. Yeah, they are non-profit, aren't they? And they're a very hands-off organization in that sense. Like, they obviously NaNoWriMo projects get organized all around the world, and they're an American organization. I don't think I'm going to get chat to work. Chat fade, that's the one I want. So what's the issue? Huh. Okay, chat's just not going to work on screen. I'm not seeing it pop up on screen. That's fine. I can read it, and I'll read it when it comes in. Fruity, I had a question. I had a question for anybody who shows up in chat today. Forgotten what that question is. Fruity, why is there nothing? Sorry, no, why is there something instead of nothing? Easy question. Let me know when you've got an answer. Let's talk about planning Humanity Prelude. We want to start with the beginning of the universe. So what's that? That's the Big Bang, isn't it? Well, is it the Big Bang, though? That's the question. I want to start earlier than that. What's before the Big Bang? I mean, that's a big question. Heck of a question. Yeah, it is a bit of a heck of a question. But it is what comes at, point zero. It is the first thing on the list here. It's chapter 0 of the book, Fruity. I need to know. To my mind, well, see, there's a ton of different theories about the beginning of the universe. One, of course, I say of course as if this is just common knowledge. It's not. M theory, which is string theory. It's the most advanced form of string theory. Basically, there are countless different versions of string theory, and M theory attempts to assemble those countless theories into one consistent theory. So it combines a bunch of other string theories. M theory proposes these things called M-branes, which are extra-dimensional membranes that are, that they're quote-unquote outside the universe. And our universe is a product of these membranes sort of colliding with one another, and that's where the Big Bang comes from, and all of reality comes from, essentially. There are other ideas that are less out there, that they do fundamentally, because we haven't resolved the contradictions between quantum mechanics and relativity. We do still need theories like that, but we can go for more classical conceptions like Big Crunch or Big Bounce. This idea that before the universe was another universe that where gravity won out and the whole universe comes back together, reforms in that initial singularity, and there's a big crunch before a big bounce, and that's the Big Bang. So there's a version of this story where I start with a previous universe. Also, you don't have to answer the question, why is there something instead of nothing? It is an unanswered question. But it's also, I think the real answer is that it's a ridiculous question. Why is there something instead of nothing presupposes that nothing is a thing that can exist, but it can't. Like, nothing is not existence, nothing is non-existence. How can the non-existent exist? It's a nonsensical question. My idea for the first chapter of this book is maybe Big Crunch, followed by a sort of boundary condition that I want to describe using poetry. Vaguely poetry, not because I'm not a poet. But sort of, because it's tricky trying to describe something that's between these 2 points. The initial singularity is a really weird point in time. We're going to invoke quantum mechanics a little bit, but also want to have it make sense to your average reader in a way. So it's not going to be technical. It's not going to be mathematical. It's just going to be a way of putting that initial state poetically. What that is a timeless space. So this is why it's ridiculous to ask what comes before the Big Bang, because the Big Bang is the beginning of space and time. So the thing that doesn't precede it, actually, but is at its boundary, is something of a timeless, formless, spaceless kind of point of reality. When we deal with like points of reality, when we deal with quanta, things get really weird and things get probabilistic, and that's quantum theory. So let's just call that quantum singularity. There's maybe a chapter 0 that's the big, or chapter -1 in that case is the big crunch. Chapter 0 being the initial singularity, we're calling quantum singularity. I will watch this video back for reference, for my own sake, to hear what the fuck I was talking about. It's all nonsense. I'm talking complete nonsense. But I think it makes sense. It will make sense. Interesting thing about this book, no characters. Because we're like, this book, Prelude, is going to have no life, right? Well, actually, okay, here's the thing. Let's separate it into the 3 things that I think this book is. Like, so let's say that A Humanity Prelude is not 1 book, but it's like, it's 3 books. So it's 1 book in 3 parts, right? So let's create a subheading called Books. We're going to call this section here Book 1, and then the books are going to be, Book 1 is everything from the Big Bang up to where is the question? Up to the seeding of life on Earth? Maybe? Because then Book 2 is, yeah, the evolution of life up to the extinction of the dinosaurs. This is what I had in mind. So yeah. Book 1 or Part 1 doesn't have a name yet, but we know it's everything from the Big Bang to abiogenesis, to the seeding of life on Earth, right? The seeding of life on Earth. That's abiogenesis. So that's a bad way of putting what abiogenesis is, but I have a very specific thing in mind when I'm talking about seeding, because the story is going to involve panspermia as well, which is the theory that the building blocks of life actually originate not on Earth but in the stars. And there's a good reason that we have that theory, right? Because if we cycle back, and I'm going off on a complete tangent here, if we cycle back the complexity of life, you know, we are a complex species, human beings, but not just human beings. You know, all mammals are complex, all dinosaurs are complex, including the birds that still exist. You know, if you go back 65 million years to the extinction of the dinosaurs, that's not very far in terms of the evolution of life. So the biological complexity of species in that time range is all roughly the same. We're talking scales of like billions of years. Go back 1 billion years, go back another billion. Life originates roughly 4 billion years ago, and there's a sort of gradient of like how complexity of life developed. Like, it develops linearly. It may be exponentially, I don't know. But if it's just go with it and say it's linearly, the complexity of biological matter, that is biological chemistry, develops linearly, and we go back 1 billion years, it's, you know, less complex. We go back another billion, it's less complex. The problem is that at the point where life begins on Earth, it's already seemingly too complex. Which is why there's this theory that maybe it developed earlier in the universe, and there is a good time for it to have happened when liquid water would have been abundant everywhere. Because, you know, the universe starts very hot and it cools down, and it's very, very cold now because, you know, it's a lot of empty space. And there are regions where it's right for life, right for biological chemistry, like Earth, but only because Earth is in a Goldilocks zone around the sun. There was a time, though, in the lifespan of the universe when water was practically everywhere because it was just the right conditions at the time. So life could have developed then. The building blocks of it, at least, could have started then. And that's an idea I want to get across in book one. Like, it's one of the major themes of the book is the development of life. It's not really a theme, is it? It's more of a narrative. Anyway, that was a tangent, and I have a number 2 here, and my cursor is flashing. What was I going to write for number 2? Yes, book 2. The Big Bang to Abiogenesis is book 1. Book 2 would be Abiogenesis. Start with that. Abiogenesis to the extinction of the dinosaurs. To the extinction of the dinosaurs. And that part is largely about the evolution of, well, all kingdoms of life, you know, fungi, plants, animals. But in particular, we focus more on animals toward the end of it and get to the dinosaurs and then have the massive extinction event of the dinosaurs, which is not the biggest extinction event. I was thinking this book could be called Extinctions, because it's vaguely about that. It's about the cycle of life and death, but on a massive scale. And how the extinction events, like the Precambrian extinction event and the extinction of the dinosaurs, give way to new life, new potential life. Which is I think why we exist, why mammals were able to thrive, is because we were tiny little creatures at the time of the dinosaurs, and it's only because the dinosaurs were pretty much wiped out that I think we had a chance to come to be. I don't think that, I could be wrong, but maybe don't know. Anyway, that is the theme of that book. Book 3 is what I was just talking about. It's mammalian life. It's mammals up to and then we get to me putting in quotes here, humanity, because I'm gonna set the boundary for humanity earlier than most people would. Like, I don't think it's just the genus Homo. I don't even think it's Australopithecus. I think we go earlier than that. We start the story of humanity earlier than Australopithecus, I think. But anyway, those would be the 3 parts, the 3 books of Humanity Prelude. Book 1 then has to go from Big Bang to Abiogenesis, Big Crunch, Quantum Singularity, the Big Bang, and then we need Lifespan of the Universe. Okay, so I have Google open for this purpose. But what are we Googling? What are we actually Googling? We are Googling early universe wiki will be a good start. We've got chronology of the universe and timeline of the early universe. Let's open chronology first, and we'll get timeline second. Let's also find out what an ekpriotic universe is, and may as well take a look at cosmic time and hydrogen line. Okay, chronology of the universe. Oh, we can get dark mode on wiki, can we? Great, beautiful. Chronology of the universe. Oh, look at that. Okay, yeah, so here's what we're talking about. We've got multicellular life, photosynthesis, good timeline. The matter-dominated era. Ooh. Accelerated expansion comes after that. Yeah, okay. What's this scale on the side? Billion years ago, okay. Is it? So yeah, 0 billion years ago, -1 billion years, multicellular life. -2, we got the origins of photosynthesis. Yeah, like I said, life started roughly 4 billion years ago, shortly after water on Earth. And then I'm struggling to read this portion here. Like, accelerated expansion, is that this entire gray region? Or is it really late into the matter-dominated era that we get accelerated expansion? That'll be something I have to look into. This is what I was looking for. Planck epoch, Grand Unification epoch, Inflationary epoch, Electro-weak epoch, because these are things that I want to try to describe in prose, which is to say non-technical. I know technical writing is also prose, but I mean like story prose. So, you know, none of this, none of these W1, W2, W3 B vector bosons. I mean, we'll say the word bosons, no doubt, but I want to put all of this reasonably accessibly. Ruti, what's your favorite, if you're still here, what's your favorite sci-fi book, if you've got one? I think my favorite sci-fi book, as well as my favorite book, full stop, is The Martian by Andy Weir. Because that book's beautiful. Beautiful book. I won't talk about it too much because spoilers, but it's great. Okay, this is the part that gets really interesting and worth spending a lot of time writing about. One thing I want to make sure that I do is, okay, let's just start sort of listing things, right? We've got the Planck epoch, Grand Unification epoch. These are -10 to the... These are 10 to the -43 seconds, 10 to the -36, 32, 12. This is all very quick. 10 to the -5 to 1 second. That's the Hadron epoch. Like, a lot of shit happens in under a second at the beginning of the universe. We've got neutrino decoupling, lepton epoch, Big Bang nucleosynthesis, sure. Photon epoch. This is all I know about space. Case I should send you it. Hope this helps. YouTube. Will this just open in another window? It will.
Space.
Sorry.
Space.
What's happening? I'm guessing it's very, very little. Space. Does he just keep saying space?
Space. If you want to know about space, you have to know about the planets. If you want to know about the planets, you have to listen to me right now. Sun, Mercury, Uranus.
That's great. Am I gonna get into trouble for copyright there? It is from this channel here, Worthy Kids, 1.05 million subscribers, 2 million views 7 years ago. He's just chatting about space. Space. We'll maybe take another look at that later. I don't think it's going to help the cause too much. Animating the clip from a show, Echo. Okay. Keish, how you doing? How's it going? Keish, important question for anyone who's in chat today. Why is there something instead of nothing? Nice easy one for you. Get back to me when you can. So this is the part, and this is very early on as well. Earliest galaxies from about 300 to 400 million years ago, are we talking? Modern galaxies, so there's different types of galaxies, okay. We do, yeah, so we do want... I'm going to group a bunch of this shit together into what I'm going to call, like, the condensation... Because otherwise things would be very empty. Why is there something instead of nothing? Because otherwise things would be very empty. This is acceptable, yes. That's a good answer. It's a very good answer. Correct, Keish. 10 points. We'll go for, and I'm just going to group everything together into condensation of matter. Oh god. I hope pressing that hasn't done anything. Okay, we're good, we're good. Condensation of matter, and then we get to the Dark Ages. What are those? The time between recombination and the formation of the first stars. During this time, the only source of photons was hydrogen, emitting radio waves at hydrogen line, which we also have open, actually. It's this one. Also, let's get all these in dark mode, too. Let's just cycle through them and make sure they're all in dark mode. Hydrogen line. Or, sorry about the flashing on the screen, that's really annoying me too. Because my PlayStation is like 5 seconds behind me. Which I have open for chat, so I can see chat still. The hydrogen line is a spectral line that is created by a change in the energy state of solitary electrically neutral hydrogen atoms. It is produced by a spin-flip transition, which means the direction of the electron spin is reversed relative to the spin of the proton. Makes sense, right? Makes sense. We don't actually need to know that. Or if we do, we need to put it way more poetically than that. And like a way that it could be like, you know, it's non-technical. You can just about grasp it, you know. We can talk about spin, and we can talk about the ballet of particles, right? That's something that we can do. But we don't necessarily need to know about the hydrogen line right now. So the Dark Ages are an important point in the story. Let's just add Dark Ages. And the Dark Abiogenesis. No, Dark Ages. Don't stop. No. I hate this. I hate that you're doing this. There we go. I can press ESC to ignore the suggestion. Great. I added a little predictive helper, but it's really annoying when I'm trying to just continue writing and it's getting the word wrong. Okay, Dark Ages, then we want to talk about the formation of galaxies and stars. Or let's talk about formation of galaxies first, because galaxies are star factories, basically. We'll deal with the idea of formation of stars separately. We need to remember that there are two types of galaxy: early galaxies, then modern. Let's just call them modern galaxies. I can't remember what the actual wiki said, but early galaxies, modern galaxies. I will review the info again at some point. Formation of stars is what we'll deal with next, and then we've basically got the stuff that makes planets. The stuff that makes planets, the stuff that makes life. I do know that the first stars are going to be, you know, hydrogen helium fusion reactors, which is what they still are, Tom. But I know that the first elements are hydrogen and helium, and that no other elements exist without the fusion reactions inside of stars. So actually we do need to talk about the fusion of heavier elements. That's something that's going to be part of the story. I say story. Is this a story or is this just a freaking poetic textbook? These numbers are not going to represent chapters. I'm probably going to shuffle these around quite a lot. Reionization. The most distant astronomical objects observable with telescopes date to this period. As of 2016, the most remote galaxy observed is GNZ11 at a redshift of 11.09. The earliest modern population 1 stars are formed in this period. Or population I stars? The earliest modern population I stars. What are they? They're young stars with the highest metallicity out of all three populations and are more commonly found in the spiral arms of the Milky Way galaxy. The Sun is considered as an intermediate population I star, while the Sun-like... I do not know Greek letters. Mu? Is that Mu? Mu Arae is much richer in metals. The term metal-rich star is used to describe stars with significantly higher metallicity than the Sun, higher than can be explained by measurement error. Okay. And these stars with high metallicity are going to be the factories of the materials I was just talking about, right? It was earlier hypothesized, meaning it's no longer hypothesized, that the high metallicity of population I stars makes them more likely to possess planetary systems than the other two populations, because planets, particularly terrestrial planets, are thought to be formed by the accretion of metals. Right, yes. So is that the general idea? Massive fusion reaction? Accretion disk? I mean, I do know that okay, so when a star forms, you get a massive fusion reaction, and that's an explosion, essentially. It's going to kick out a lot of dust, which is going to then form in the gravitational pull around the star into an accretion disk around it, and it's from that accretion disk that matter starts to again clump together, and that's how we get planets. Fusion of heavier elements, and then I guess at this point we go to... Yeah, okay, so it's going to be type I stars we start talking about here. Let's just call it, like, you know, the formation of star systems. Because that's what we start to get in theory. At least the idea that from this point on, we can start to get worlds made of non-hydrogen, non-helium, so they're not just going to be gaseous bodies that turn into stars or brown dwarfs or, you know, Jupiters or super Jupiters. So we can get this formation of star systems with terrestrial planets. And a key thing that I want to avoid is, even though the story is about humanity, I don't want to indicate too strongly that humanity is special in the cosmos. I would like to go somewhere else first. Describe the formation of a different star system than our own, you know? Obviously, we get to humanity eventually, and they are the leading role. They are the protagonist of the story, eventually. But I just don't want to make those smug bastards feel special, you know? So let's avoid that. Let's start with the formation of a different star system. So after that, we would get to formation of the solar system. But is there anything we need to check on first? Reionization, present time. Oh, and then we've got, yeah. So farthest observable photons at this moment are CMB photons. They arrive from a sphere with a radius of 46 billion light years. Okay, so yeah, we're at the end of the current lifespan of the universe. Great, good. So we move straight on to formation of our solar system. Let's just call it. And I said this is going to be all the way up to abiogenesis. So there's a question. Do I since I'm going to be talking about panspermia, I need to Google again, I think. Go back across to Google. Where's Google? There's Google. So let's talk panspermia, but in particular, okay, all right. Here's what we're Googling. When was the universe wettest? No, not Earth rainfall climatology. I'm asking about the universe, not Earth. Bad question. Bad question. When was water most common in the universe? Like, what we know. Origin of water on Earth. How rare is water throughout the universe? Water in the universe. How and where was water first created? All it requires is hydrogen and oxygen, so it needs at least stars to exist to create oxygen in the first place. My timeline has us go formation of galaxies, formation of stars. Let's add a number here. Oh no, it has to be after fusion of heavier elements, doesn't it? Formation of star systems with terrestrial planets and other rocky bodies is what I'm thinking, like... Because there's a point in time where water could be abundant. I'm going to have to look this up. Water was abundant in early universe. Water was abundant in early universe. Water could have been abundant in first billion years after the Big Bang. Summary. How soon after the Big Bang could water have existed? Blah, blah, blah. Not right away because water molecules contain oxygen and oxygen had not been formed in the first stars. Okay, Science Daily, give me more. No dark mode? Sorry, no dark mode. Okay. Then that oxygen had to disperse and unite with hydrogen in significant amounts. New theoretical work finds that despite these complications, water vapor could have been just as abundant in pockets of space a billion years after the Big Bang as it is today. So water could have existed for a long time. Basically since as early as oxygen exists, which is going to be from this point. We don't even need the formation of star systems because the fusion reactions that create oxygen, there could be a byproduct of these, massive stellar reactions that creates water molecules too, H2O. And the water could just be out there in, large water vapor clouds, as it said. So, universe wet here. That's not going to be the chapter title. That's a bad chapter title, but it is what we're writing. Universe wet here. It's important. Universe wet here. We're going to put exclamation points after that because it's important. Universe wet here. Which is important for where I want to take the story in terms of panspermia. Formation of star systems with terrestrial planets. Because from this point forward, I want to start talking about the origins of organic chemistry. I'm not going to get into researching that today, I don't think. But it is something that I will start to do at this point. It'll obviously be so formation of Earth, formation of, let's go with planets, and we'll have to do that in order. I'll maybe also not talk about that today. Formation of planets. I generally don't know what order the planets formed in. Formation of planets. But eventually we get to formation of Earth and not Moon, which I'm just going to type in not Moon for now, because there is going to be a collision event between the Earth and Moon. So I'm just going to put Earth not Moon collision. This is one of the theories for why we have such a large moon, why it's tidally locked with Earth, and why its composition is eerily similar to Earth's own what did I say? Composition, right? I didn't say compilation. Composition, yeah. They have an eerily similar composition, which it's theorized this is the result of a collision event with another body that Earth originally shared her orbit with. And that's going to be a detail. Earth, not moon collision. There was only one, no collisions. And this, I don't know when this happened. Sorry, hang on. Earth, moon, collision. No. Earth's moon is thought to have formed in a tremendous collision. A massive object named Theia, after the mythological Greek Titan who was the mother of Selene, goddess of the moon, smashed into Earth, flinging material into space that became the moon. But when did it happen? Giant impact hypothesis. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the because it's a story, because it's fiction, I can just work with hypotheses. I'm not writing a work of fact here. I'm writing a work of science fiction, big emphasis on the science. So we can have, like I say at the beginning of the story, big crunch, even though we don't know that such a thing ever happened. I can get real poetic with the quantum singularity and try to describe, you know, the quote-unquote beginning of time in a way that we just don't understand it yet. But we do have hypotheses. It's totally fine that this is a hypothesis. I actually think this is a very strong hypothesis. But when did it happen? About 4.4 to 4.45 billion years ago. Okay. I'm gonna sub in the word Theia for not moon. Theia, and then I don't know what the shortcut is for like select all. There we go. Earth Theia collision. We will call it. Well, let's just 4 to 4.45 billion years ago. Cool. Great. And that's important because I also think that the moon is. We're going to talk about what's the thing called? The thing called. I know. I'm just saying, what is the thing called? You know the whole idea that we're not supposed to treat our place in the universe as special. That like principle. Is it the anthropic principle, or is it like? Yeah, the thing is, the moon is so weird. We have the Earth, and the moon is a very massive satellite, unlike we've seen orbiting any other planet. It's weird that we find life on this one planet, as well as a weird fucking moon orbiting this one planet, and I think the two are linked. I think it's something that I want to get across in the story itself. So that collision is important. The size of the moon being there, orbiting us, being tidally locked. I think that's all important to the sort of the churning of the oceans and how it leads to the evolution of life, etc., 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 etc. But I think at this point we're talking cooling of the Earth, followed by, at this point, we'll be talking about panspermia and origins of water on Earth. Did it already exist here, or was it deposited somehow? I haven't really made a decision based on that. So let's brackets and origins of water on Earth. I'm not really sure how to get that across, but that will be the end of book 1. We can talk about book 2, because if the above isn't 50,000 words, then I want to just keep going. Also, all 3 books, all 3 parts are technically one book. The whole thing's Humanity Prelude. That's the idea. And then a book that would come after this would be something else. will be the actual story of humanity from X point forward. What did I say? Yeah, mammals up to humanity. Yeah. That's right. But we're not gonna talk about the quote unquote first book yet. We're talking about the 0th book here. The book 2 in the 0th book. We don't need a chapter 0 this time. We'll just do a chapter 1. We're talking about evolution of life now. So it's panspermia, abiogenesis as a consequence of panspermia mentioned above. And this is the point at which we get the origins of organic chemistry on Earth. So we're not talking much at this point in time. We're talking basic amino acids. We're talking maybe basic proteins. We're talking something like buckyballs as well. Buckyballs are a really interesting idea because you can compare them to diamonds, I guess, right? Because buckyballs are just a formation of carbon. Carbon is such a versatile molecule, element, right? Because it makes such very different molecules. It combines in so many different and interesting ways. It creates diamonds. It creates charcoal, right? It creates graphite. Graphite and diamonds being like often compared as like completely opposite compositions of carbon, because one's really, really hard, the toughest substance, the diamond, versus graphite, which we use in pencils because it's so brittle and it breaks off so easily. Buckyballs are kind of like, they're like graphite-like, really tiny carbon structures. So they're just the balls of carbon that are clumped together, and they have this like hexagonal array, but it's just loosely formed together. And part of why they're so interesting is because they're like star soot. They can be given off by stars, and organic or proto-organic molecules could first develop by getting caught on and like caught in between like the gaps in the buckyball, because carbon has that kind of structure. I will show you what a buckyball also called a Buckminster fullerene. This is why they're called buckyballs, because who wants to say Buckminster fullerene every single time? Like that's the structure of a Buckminster fullerene right there. Each one of these nodes is a carbon atom. So you can imagine, I think, how many... Because okay, right. I sucked at chemistry. I was good at biology. I was good at physics. Chemistry is like the middle subject that I sucked at. So I can't remember what carbon had. But I will, I think, have to have a periodic table. I'm going to download a periodic table. I'm going to add it to my notes later, not during this stream. But does carbon... And it's not just a matter of whether carbon has this, but whether it has it in this arrangement. It's got like 3 electrons, right? That allow it to interact with outside things, which is why the buckyball is so... Again, I'm spitballing here. Buckyballing. The idea being that it interacts with other elements, other molecules that could become organic molecules, and because of the shape of it, because of the structure of it, it's non-organic itself, but it's such a great catalyst for helping to form organic chemistry. So abiogenesis needs to be the continuation of organic chemistry. And again, this could all have started back here, couldn't it? With universe wet here. It all start there. But okay, so abiogenesis. We're talking early things. This will be the same chapter as this one above, but we're talking basic amino acids. We're talking proteins, you know? Then we're talking RNA Earth. which is the theory that RNA, comes into existence one way or another. A couple of amino acids react with a couple of proteins, something like that. Maybe buckyballs are involved in that too. And there's this accidental assembly of a basic RNA molecule, just a really tiny one. But because it's RNA, it self-replicates. It reacts with other chemistry, with other chemicals in the churning early oceans. So we're talking like thermal vents. We're talking amino acids, proteins, and thermal vents. Let's just say that. Because one of the things life needs is sort of an energy gradient. That's why I'm talking about thermal vents. You need colder area, hotter area, and that's going to create convection, which is going to mix up the stuff. Life at this point doesn't need to move on its own because the seas, the oceans are moving it for it and, causing it to churn, react with one another. So RNA Earth. RNA Earth is a really fascinating proposal. I keep on needing to do this. Hang on. RNA Earth. The RNA world and the origins of life. RNA world. There we go. I don't know why in my head I was thinking, I have a very clear picture of this in my head, but obviously there's not going to be any pictures. I mean, there are pictures, but they're technical diagrams. It's a hypothetical stage in the evolutionary history of life on Earth in which self-replicating RNA molecules proliferated before the evolution of DNA and proteins. Ooh, okay, so we shouldn't have proteins yet. The term also refers to the hypothesis that posits the existence of this stage. Like DNA, RNA can store and replicate genetic information like protein enzymes. And the reason we have DNA, by the way, is RNA is just more brittle. It's more fragile than DNA. Like, here's the DNA structure on the right here. Here's the RNA structure on the left. RNA, much simpler to form, but much more fragile, much more prone to errors in its own self-replication, much more dependent on other molecules to even begin the process of replicating. But it's going to be an important part of the story where we start talking about the spirals of RNA and DNA. Also, I guess proteins get deleted from here. I'll look more into that at some point. I do have a month before November when I'm going to get a start on the actual book itself. The reason I'm trying to do this right now, the research part, get as much down as possible over the course of the next month, is because it's the main thing that stops me from writing and continuing to write is having to research. Like I've tried writing in the past and I start writing and it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh no, now I need to look something up, and then I go down a massive rabbit hole. Trying to avoid that this year. I don't mind if the book is crap. If the book is wrong even. Because we can come back and do extra drafts. I just need to have enough information to hand that I don't need to do any complicated research. RNA world. I don't know what comes next. The idea is that at some point, I think proteins do come before DNA. Because eventually, one idea for the formation of DNA is that two RNA molecules interacting with a protein stitched themselves together, accidentally creating the first DNA molecule. So DNA formed from RNA plus protein. Just go with that. Protein reaction. I'm going to keep saying the word reaction because that's what these are. I think people sometimes don't realize like how closely linked chemistry and biology are. Because all biology is organic chemistry. Like almost completely every process inside of us is like some kind of organic chemistry. That gets us that far. I think this is the bit that gets complicated. This is the part, like, this is all the stuff that I kind of knew, just wanted to, like, verify. Here we're getting to, like, kind of complicated working out of, what comes after DNA. Well, we need the first cells. We need to talk about the first cell. After the first cell, it's going to be a unicellular organism, isn't it? Oh, we need to talk about virus evolution as well, because viruses are fascinating. They're not, I mean, depending on who you ask, they're not on the tree of life, right? But they're obviously related to it because they interact with living things, and they reproduce in a sense. They hijack our systems to reproduce and, like, make us sick in order to pass themselves along. Viruses are really fascinating. And one theory, I think, is that there was bacteria first, and one strain of bacteria, or maybe several strains of bacteria, they sort of evolved regressively to, like, lose the protein shell that is the cell membrane, and ultimately became like a naked virus molecule. And this was somehow more efficient, more successful for them. And I like that idea so much, because the other idea is that, like, viruses evolved independently from similar organic chemistry to the first bacteria, something like that. But I like the idea that life began first, and then viruses branched off from it. So I kind of like the idea that we have the first cell, the first bacteria, and then we've got, like, the regression. No, it's because it's not really a regression. It's not really a regression. I'm going to put in quotes: regressive evolution of the virus, right? Yeah. So I think that's a fascinating idea, and I think there's a lot of weight behind it. I think it's a good idea. Okay. So, then we need to talk about how unicellular becomes multicellular, right? So, origins of multicellular life is going to be a part of the book. Oh my god, this is going to be so boring. My aim is to make all of this, because again, there's no characters. There's nobody to relate to. But I really like that idea. The idea that you've got no character to relate to, but it's still a narrative story. It's still, and there is a lead character here, by the way. I don't know if you can tell who, not who. I don't know if you can tell what it is, but there is a lead character here. Multicellular life. We're gonna have, what comes after multicellular life? We need the origins of sexual reproduction, because initially everything's asexual. So, I just don't know when that happens. Yeah, we need photosynthesis. I think photosynthesis comes well before we worry about anything like that. Photosynthesis. I don't know when photosynthesis arrives on the scene, but I know it's early. We saw a timeline earlier, didn't we? That had something. Ooh, what the hell was an ecprotic universe anyway? It's a cosmological model of the early universe that explains the origin of the large-scale structure of the cosmos. The model has also been incorporated into the cyclic universe theory, or ecprotic cyclic universe theory, which proposes a complete cosmological history, both the past and future. Great, I'll read that at some point. Timeline of the early universe. Single-celled life, photosynthesis, multicellular life, yeah. Let's just go with this then. Multicellular life, then vertebrates. Okay, wow. Skipping a bunch there. Photosynthesis. Oh, damn. Okay, I had this the wrong way around. So photosynthesis comes first, then multicellular life. At this point, being a bit lax with the research. Because there's so much more that I need to know in order to narrativify this, you know? Is that just narrate? Is that just the verb narrate? To narrate this? Multicellular life, and then... vertebrates, you're just skipping so much. Yeah, Cambrian explosion. Okay, here's the thing. There's more details down this side here that I've been ignoring. Earliest known life, then single-celled life, then earliest oxygen is actually there after the origin of single-celled life. Isn't that wild? I would have thought oxygen was already present, but I suppose... is it locked up in carbon? Is it like all CO2? And so, ultimately, yeah, photosynthesizing leads to the release of oxygen? So where did you put it? Just after single-cell life and before photosynthesis? Yeah. I'm just going to put in quotes here, earliest oxygen. Could be an important point in the story, but, you know. Don't know. Again, these points are not referencing chapters. This is just a sequence of events. I'll have to decide what the chapters are. The character of this story, by the way, is the concept of life. Because it starts back here. Where was it? Universe wet here? I'll put in brackets origins of panspermia, question mark? That's the idea. So we're getting introduced to the character, the main character of this Prelude story relatively late, but they are introduced here. And then, you know, a bunch more happens, and then here's where their story really begins. This is their Act 2. Multicellular life, let's just continue on this. Okay, so I'm just doing Origins of the Universe on this stream, so I don't want to get too bogged down with life stuff. So let's just list these as they appear. We've got atmospheric oxygen comes late into photosynthesis. So let's also add that there. Atmospheric oxygen, which means at this point there's free oxygen in the water? Is that right? And then sexual reproduction before the end of photosynthesis, but before we get to multicellular life, apparently. So there was single-celled sexually reproductive organisms. Is that right? That's amazing if true. I'm going to put it before it, but I did not know this. No, actually, I'm not going to put this one in quotes, because sexual reproduction is a very important part of the story, and how you get to more complex life. How you get to, you know, two partners can contribute different DNA. It's like, oh god, how do I convey that? Anyway, it's not sexual production, is it? It's sexual reproduction, sexually reproducing organisms. Then multicellular life, apparently after, which I did not... that surprised me, genuinely. We'll look more into this. We'll probably do another research and development stream at some point. Fungi comes after multicellular life. There it is, fungi, and then we get the earliest animals / plants. So they're just coupled together here. I wanted to do plants then animals, so I'm going to earliest plants then animals, like that. And I'm going to talk about the Cambrian explosion. And didn't I mentioned earlier in the stream the Cambrian extinction event? That's the thing that happened, right? Wow, skipping to earliest mammals, then earliest apes / humans. Earliest mammals, when were the earliest mammals? Is a very important point. because I know one of the books I mentioned. You know, when did the kingdom Mammalia? When did that? Yeah, Mammaliforms. Sure. What's this? Oh my god, he's adorable. I love him. I love Morgan Ucodontidae. I'm just gonna call him Morgan. Oh, he's extinct. So that's cool. So mammals are the only surviving mammaliforms, is that right? Extinct. Extinct. Or are we? Are marsupials also mammaliforms, but not mammalia? Oh my god, there's a Frutifossor. Frutifossor was a termite-eating mammal endemic to North America during the late Jurassic epoch. I'm getting distracted, aren't I? I wanted the timeline. Fast mammals, about 252 million years ago, which is, yeah, pre the extinction event of the dinosaurs, but it's long after they first. It ended the dominance of carnivorous therapsids. In the early Triassic, most medium to large land carnivore niches were taken over by archosaurs, which over an extended period, 35 million years, came to include the... Okay. And this is why book 2 is called Extinctions, in my mind. It's because so much of it depends on extinction events leading to the next dominant species. Or the next dominant, not even species, but, you know, like, kingdom. So we need to talk about, like, the... Well, we need to talk about fish first. We need to talk about aquatic animals, and then we need to talk about amphibious something forms. I don't know. I'll have to do Evolution of Life in another stream. Then we talk about, I guess, reptiles come first, because you don't get birds until after you get reptiles. You don't get... I don't think you get mammals until after reptiles either. I'm not sure which came first, the birds or the mammals. Like, when did Archaeopteryx, when did that exist? Compared to when did the first mammaliform exist, you know? Not sure. Because we can easily, like, do it in order. Do the origin of mammals first, if that comes first, then do origin of birds, then bounce back. Okay. Are there any kingdoms of life that I'm missing? Any whole, like, classes of life that I'm forgetting? Let me Google that question that I had. Which came first, mammals or birds? Mammals! The first mammals appeared about 200 million years ago, and the earliest birds about 150 million years ago. Okay, great. So reptiles, then come mammals, then come birds, and then we're going to go back to mammals after the extinction of the dinosaurs. Major extinction event. Okay? Major extinction event. I don't know what it's called, but we know it's the one that was roughly 65 million years ago. So there we go. And then that's the end of book 2. Book 3. What was book 3? Mammals up to humanity. Okay. So it's continued evolution of life. Oh god. Yeah, okay. Okay, so it's post-extinction. I think we're going to deal... Like, there's going to be at least one chapter, maybe several chapters, dealing with the consequences of the extinction event. Like, what came... what the world was like for life to live in after that. Post-extinction followed by... we're talking mainly about the evolution of mammals. That doesn't mean we're not going to deal with the evolution of other life forms too. Like, yeah, because like, birds coming so much later than mammals. Mammals and birds have pretty much evolved in unison with one another, in conjunction with one another. Post-extinction. I guess this is the one where I have the least fine detail so far. Technically, right? This is the longest span of time. Then this is another long span of time. Like, what is this? Yeah, okay. So this is 10 billion years. This book is about 4 billion years. This one's only 65 million years. So we're running out of time. The books are getting shorter in the time that they cover. Post-extinction, and then we get evolution of birds, evolution / mammal yeah, because the thing is, I don't really want, like, I don't want to convey this idea that the development towards like apes is progress, you know, so to speak. I don't want to convey that idea, because each creature, each animal, each, you know, life form, plants too, it's niche, and that's the whole point of evolution. That's the whole point of what we do. The fittest survive because they're the fittest for their environment. Which is why, you know, there might be several chapters dealing with this post-extinction world, this dark world where the sun's blotted out, and yeah, it becomes a contest. But it already was a contest of which species is the most aggressive, which is going to be the biggest and eat the other. That was dinosaurs, right? I would like it to thematically shift from that point, but I don't know how. Let's just lay down some like really rough details. Post-extinction, we want to get from early mammals. We want to get from there to, and we start to go more and more heavily in the direction of primates eventually, but we'll veer off and talk about other things too. Like, oh my god, megafauna. I'm completely forgetting about, like, post major extinction event megafauna, most of which we wiped out. Like the elephant, the hippo, a couple of examples of like the only megafauna that we have left. We killed the mammoth. Mammoths are a thing. Ice Age, there's an Ice Age somewhere in here that needs to be dealt with. Okay, but okay, timeline speaking, yeah, speaking in terms of timeline, I know that humanity, like Homo sapiens, arrives roughly 2 million years ago, and I know that like our civilizations arrive around 20,000 years ago, maybe a little bit after that. 10,000 years ago was Mesopotamia, and 20,000 years ago is like the first evidence that we had agriculture. So we have a span of 63 million years where I'm missing information. But also, right, yeah, here's a great idea. Let's ignore that. Primate evolution? Let's just primate evolution, right? Because I can't remember what the species was. I know it was... Oh no, I need a list. Evolution of mammals, list of fossil primates. Timeline of human evolution, let's do that instead. We could look at that chart, we could look at this one instead. Life, domain, eukaryota, kingdom of Animalia. Sure, what the hell is this? Homo sapiens. Age erectus. This is a timeline. Okay, great, yeah. There's Mammalia. Oh, this is perfect. This is exactly what I needed. Oh yeah, of course. There's like mammals that give birth to live young is distinct from mammals themselves. There were egg-laying mammals before that point. Also, there still is. But damn platypus. Platypus is ridiculous. Oh, so do we think, yeah, like, do we think the platypus must have like branched off from all other mammal species at this point, like 160 million years ago? Wild. Then we've got placental mammals. Then we've got super primates. Most hoofed mammals. Most carnivorous mammals. Where does it end? Is the question. Monkeys, including apes, yeah. Catarrhini, which is downward-nosed primates, apes, and old-world monkeys. Hominoidea. I think that's this book as well. Hominidae. No, sorry. Back from there, please. Genus Homo, and close human relatives and ancestors after splitting from Pan, the hominins. Ardipithecus, genus of an extinct hominin. Australopithecus. I said we'd start earlier than Australopithecus, but let's go for hominins from here. Cladogram, hominidae, hominini. That's so hard to say. Hominini. Oh god damn it. Hominina. With Australopithecina. Okay. Oh, and that's where we're looking right now. Okay. Let's go for homininina. Oh, that's just a synonym. A synonym for Australopithecine. Okay. Does that start with Australopithecus? It seems to. Okay, so I don't know when that ends, but my idea is to end this book with bipedal apes. And then obviously there's a, like I say, there's a 60 million year gap or something. There's a huge gap. There's millions of years of gaps in my knowledge for book 3, but that's maybe something I'm going to do on another stream. I'll probably come back and do another research and development stream at some point in October. Maybe a couple. I won't be doing writing streams just because I don't think I can write and talk at the same time. And I think if I'm just writing, it's kind of dull. So I'll write in my own time. I will probably do readings of what I have written. But I'm going to call this here for now. I'll maybe try to clean up this research, maybe add a bit more detail off stream. That's the idea. So, right, that'll have to do. Let's tab out. We'll tab out and we'll oh god damn it, transition back to that screen. And we'll wrap up. What do we know? Oh my god. Goddamn bot. First time chatter. I think these have just come in, haven't they? I have to ban you. Ban. Ah, god damn it. And is this a different one? Also a possible ban of Vader, it says. Ban. There we go. Got rid of the bot. Okay, so that was me doing research for Humanity Prelude, which is... I think it's going to be one book. I don't think I'm separating those 3 into different books, even though I'm considering them different parts. It is the story of... we settled on the protagonist, didn't we? I said it was life. Life is the protagonist, the concept of life itself, that starts in the stars and then evolves on our beautiful little perfect planet perfect but not special, remember? I mean, it is special in the sense that like we haven't seen another world like it, but the whole point is that like the reason we find life here and also the moon is so weird is probably linked. And if we find other planets where the moon is so weird, we probably find complicated life there too. Which will be a later part of the story, actually. Once we continue into the humanity part of the story, that's post-Prelude, we will start to think about things like eventually First Contact. I did say it was a sci-fi story. It is a sci-fi story, and I'm getting to that eventually. But I need to write the beginning first. And it's so annoying that for me the beginning is the beginning of the universe. Like, oh no, I need to detail absolutely every fucking part of this. Every fucking part of the from the creation of reality up until the evolution of man, in order to get to the point where once upon a time we are going to end it there. This will go up on YouTube, I think, and we'll see if I do another one. Thanks for stopping by, Fruity Spruce and Keish. I don't know if anyone else stopped by in the chat besides the scam bot. I do see a lurker. I won't name the lurker, but thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you on the next one. Actually, I should transition to another screen, but ta-ra.